Hey guys, what's up? Elliot Green here, and welcome to my channel. I hope you all are having a great week. Mine has been fine, and that's what matters the most. Today we'll be diving into the unsolved case of Chandler Innarelli, a young man full of energy, promise, and love for life, gunned down in the darkness of a cold February night. Before we dive in, I want to thank my earliest subscribers. Covering these cases is never easy, and your support keeps me going, so thank you. Now let's take a step back to understand who Chandler really was. On June the 24th, 1997, Amy and Fred welcomed their lovely son Chandler Innarelli into the world. Chandler had an older sister, Eva Lorraine, with piercing blue eyes and an irresistible smile. Chandler lit up every room he entered. As a kid, he was described as funny and extremely energetic. His mom, Amy, had to switch him over to several daycare places due to his vibrant energy. He was a little challenging for his teacher to deal with. Started elementary school at St. Benedict's, a Catholic school in Manchester, but was soon transferred to another one. A few months into that, Chandler was diagnosed with ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. Well, I'm particularly familiar with this disorder since I have it myself, so I can relate with Chandler as to what he might have been going through as a child. I feel bad for him, and it drives me crazy that the school made it so tough on him, as if it was his fault, instead of providing him with another alternative. Anyway, let's briefly talk about what ADHD really means. ADHD is one of the most common mental disorders affecting children, and it's considered to be chronic and debilitating. Symptoms of ADHD might include inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. ADHD is known to undermine various aspects of the individual's life, including academic and professional achievements, interpersonal relationships, and daily functioning. Horrible, right? Scientists have not yet identified the causes of ADHD. Back to Chandler's story. Well, he was put on medication to help him smooth things out. The teachers decided to put him into a special classroom for students with special needs. But the environment seemed to have taken a toll on him. In fact, he started behaving differently and manipulating adults, acting upset, and the situation got tougher and tougher. To be fair, I don't get why students with either special or regular classrooms should be of any help. Maybe it's just me, but this would get things more complicated. From a very young age, Chandler would do whatever would come to his mind. If he wanted to go either to the park or the basketball court, that's where you would find him. He was a free spirit. No need to say that most of the time people with ADHD don't seem to be utterly understood, and I feel like he was just struggling to make his way out. Anyway, Chandler's world was already growing more complex than most kids his age. Chandler played a variety of sports ranging from karate to even basketball and soccer, but his main issue was trying to keep focused on the structure of the sports. Basketball, though, was his favorite one, like his father's. On the flip side, Chandler was a very curious guy, reading many books such as science ones and even the Bible. Another interest of his was board games. As said earlier, Chandler had a sister, Eva Lorraine, and they had a strong bond, supporting each other. But his teenage years brought turbulence. Amy, Chandler's mom, would punish him for his bad behavior, but he reacted as if he was fearless. Their relationship became conflictual, even though they would share moments of peace at times. But to me, it seems like he was just stepping into adulthood and trying to find himself, who he really was. At 15, he got an assault charge, but the charges were then dropped. Conflicts at home would intensify at a certain point. In desperate need for help, Amy found a costly program in North Carolina for troublesome teenagers, which was based in learning and developing useful survival skills, being in nature, and that had a therapeutic effect on behavioral issues. A tough decision to make, but Amy had no choices. She had to lie to him, telling him they were just going to see a new school, while instead she took him to the airport and they fled to North Carolina. It was a very hard moment for Amy because she wished things would work out differently. As a parent, you want the best for your child, no matter how wrecking that can be. Reaching the end of the program, unfortunately, things got soured. Chandler never forgave his mom, Amy, for what she had done, and he felt betrayed. Guys, honestly, if I were in Amy's shoes, I would do the same. Did she lie? Yeah, for sure, but she knew that this was the only possible way out to help him because he wouldn't let her, no matter how. It was during this rough period that Chandler was also diagnosed with ODD, which stands for Oppositional Defiant Disorder, characterized by frequent and ongoing patterns of anger, irritability, arguing, defiance towards parents and authorities. It's pretty common for people with ADHD to have ODD as well. Chandler dropped out of high school and bounced between his parents' place. He would stay either with his mom or dad, and yeah, this was a more complicated period of his life. He split up with his girlfriend after a long relationship. If this wasn't enough, in 2017, when he was 19, Chandler was charged with resisting arrest and criminal threatening and spent 3 days in jail. His mom Amy bailed him out of jail and was struggling to fathom what to do at this point. So she decided to bring him to his dad's, but that's when Chandler exploded and threatened to jump off the car. Things seemed to be getting off for Chandler, a rebellious phase, you name it. Well, Amy's boyfriend, Michael, had a rocky relationship with Chandler. We can say that these guys didn't get along really well, right? In 2019, Amy had plans to marry Michael, and so she tried as best as she could to make it possible for Chandler to be present on such a memorable and special day. The wedding had to be anticipated due to Hurricane Dorian hitting the East Coast area. It was considered one of the most intense in history with a Category 5. Neither did Chandler show up at the wedding, nor did he call his mom. Amy thought that maybe this was too much for Chandler to handle, so she waited for him to apologize, but the moment never came, and a month went by. In the same year, in 2019, Chandler met the love of his life, a girl called Kiona, and soon after, in June, he was waiting to be a father. When Chandler called his mom to tell her about the situation, she was cautiously optimistic, but at the same time, a little concerned that he might not be able to provide for the baby. This would have represented a big shift in his life, right? And understandably, she wanted the best both for his son and his grandson. Finally, the big moment arrived. He was ready to be a father, wanted to do better, be better, Could this have been his turning point? Was this finally a new beginning for him? Jamel was born on November the 2nd, 2019, and Chandler was over the moon about his new phase in his life. I can even imagine how much he must have been excited and proud of his son, and not only that, but he was determined to be a steady figure for him, both for Jamel and his girlfriend Kiona. Unfortunately, no one could ever know that one day their life would be turned upside down forever. Winter was in full swing in Manchester. It was a Wednesday. At 7:20, Chandler had his last communication with his mom, Amy. It was already dark outside, and Chandler was in his car waiting for his girlfriend, Kiona, and his son, Jamel, to come. But unfortunately, he would never make it. At 7:45 p.m., Manchester police responded to an area of Union Street between Bell and Gove. Upon arrival, police found Chandler, age 22, shot to death in his car while he was waiting for his girlfriend, a newborn baby. The death was caused by multiple gunshot wounds and was determined to be a homicide. Did Chandler know his killer? It's hallucinating to know that such a young man with an entire life ahead of him was gunned down for no reason. To this day, the question still lingers. Who is the culprit? What really happened to Chandler? Did he owe something to somebody? Was he in the wrong place at the wrong moment? Or was it just an accident? Was it a setup? Or a tragic case of mistaken identity? Unfortunately, police had released little information to the public. On Monday, a visitation which lasted 3 hours took place at a funeral home downtown in Manchester. There were a bunch of people standing there for Chandler. His mom really acknowledged how much his son was loved by his friends, and she couldn't believe it. Amy said, "Losing a child changes you on a cellular level. I lost a piece of me that night, and it's changed my soul. It's changed how I think about things. It's changed how I react to things. It's changed who I am. And it's complicated in so many ways. In so many ways, I'm calmer, I'm kinder, I'm more patient. But at the same time, I'm reserved and disconnected, but more connected than ever, you know, especially spiritually and within the community and my loved ones." A Facebook page was created just a month after his son was murdered on March the 28th, and the aim is to help Amy keep his son's memory alive and connect with other parents facing similar challenges of losing their child. The page is called Justice for Chandler. I cannot express how amazing that woman is. She basically transformed grief into something bigger than her, something that could help her heal and comfort others. Not only that, but Amy started collecting money for stuff that Chandler really cared about, like for his son Jamel. In addition to that, she went on to know the community where Chandler was living and spoke to the nearby neighbors. She learned how much his son was loved and respected among others. The community was in pain, and their hearts was in ache for the loss of Chandler. Just so you get a better grasp on him, an homeless woman said to Amy that Chandler would always help her out, giving her even a couple dollars that he had left in his pocket. Chandler was a guy with a heart of gold and loved children to the core. Amy founded a charity called Chandler's Angels, an organization which promotes sponsoring community events, organizing basketball matches, providing safe places for kids, and of course spreading awareness to his case. I forgot to say that this mom became involved in other organizations centered in helping kids with special needs, like for instance those struggling with ADHD. She wants to make a difference in hopes that other kids won't have to suffer at school, even with such a disability. Justice needs to be served. Amy, Eva Lorraine, Kiona, and Jamel, and all his family need to know what happened to Chandler. The saddest part here is that there are people in the community who are allegedly in the know but are in fear and don't want to come forward to share key information to the police. Nevertheless, the police have been tight-lipped about the case. In fact, little information was revealed to the public. The case is still unsolved, and no arrest has been made yet. I feel so bad for Chandler's son, Jamel, who will never experience the love of a father, the sense of protection and warmth, and he deserves the best. He needs to know why his father is no longer alive. The family wants answers and closure. It's been 5 long and challenging years so far. If you have any information about the murder, please contact the Manchester Crime Line at 603-624-74040, which offers cash rewards. If this case moved you, please leave a comment, share the video, and keep his memory alive. I see you in the next episode, and until then, stay safe and stay aware.